around gun violence, depending on where it takes place and who's affected by it. When it happens to others in certain pockets of Toronto, it's a tragedy visited upon those who didn't deserve it. When it happens to us in these communities, it becomes our fault. We start blaming the victims. We get the wrong place, wrong time narrative. One reason this double standard is so easy to apply is that the question of why gun violence happens so much in inner cities is brushed over or ignored. There are many factors. The effect of racism on individuals and communities, failed education systems, lack of meaningful engagement in spaces, inequities on all levels, systemic barriers, unaddressed mental health and well-being, high unemployment, and no interruption of the violent cycles which are happening within the homes of our young people and within our communities. These are rarely discussed. And there is no connection to that gun violence, and these conversations don't happen on a national level about what's happening to us. Without that connection and with no greater social ills to help explain it, it seems simply as a fault of the people who live in these places. And if they have some defect in their family or in their community, it seems like it's us that's broken and not the system that we're housed in. And because it's our fault, it doesn't warrant that conversation. There continues to be a devaluing of lives for people of color. The recent gentleman that died, Kevin, who was 20 years old, shot down near Islington. First thing that came out, he was known to police. This continues to contribute to the sporadic nature of gun control conversations itself. Because gun control is only talked about on a higher level when multiple murders happen or when it happens into places where they thought were safe or in richer neighborhoods, it's talked about only a few times a year. So if the conversation was shifted to include the tragedies of people in our communities, if our lives were valued enough by media as well as the Canadian conscience to warrant that conversation, this would be an ongoing debate. Our flags would remain at half-mast, and there would be so many moments of silence, it would disrupt people's workday. Okay? Like, it would disrupt the normal routine that everyone seems to just jump right back into once one of us have fallen. And I want that disruption. Because that disruption will cause some actual actions, and then those will be taken to create some actual change. And it would do something to affect those who are actually affected by the daily gun violence that's happening. So the death of my brother, our brother, because he was found to many in the community, and the deaths of the other innocent lives are a cause for uprising. The loss of innocence of our children every time they're subjected to this sort of horrific act is a cause for an outcry. We must use this as a catalyst for something greater. So I'm no longer asking politicians or anyone else for their moments of silence. I don't need any more silence. I need our voices to be heard. I need our voices to be louder, and I need them to break that silence that has affected our communities and that has caused fear in our communities. And that is all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Tamasha, for your bravery, for your courage, your strength to share, and the family that's here as well. And thank you. We wanted to create some space for folks to ask maybe a few questions of each speaker, and then we will open up to a larger conversation. Did anybody, and we will keep going as well. Did anybody have any questions for Tamasha? And that's cool. It's heavy, it's real. We don't talk about a lived experience in such a real way, in a timely way. So thank you again, Tamasha. Our next speaker we're inviting is Sam. Sam was right here. So I think what's really powerful about this discussion is from what's happening in the world. The discussion, planning this meeting, and bringing people together, and thinking about who could speak to these issues in an authentic, lived way, really highlighted the magical people in this neighborhood that have been committed in this neighborhood from birth, right? From birth. And who continue to come back into the neighborhood and give back in some way. Suzanne, that's all the filler I got. So in September, our first Wednesday in September, we do have a JFAAP membership drive, so we'll make more announcements. If you want to be a member of JFAAP, that's supposed to happen later. So how's the food? Everybody enjoying the food? Yes? Okay, we'll do another unplug for Black Creek Community Farm. You want to, hey, Black Creek! Fresh organic food. I'm getting a side eye. I don't think Hinda's going to. So it's located at, you guys know where it is, right?